Yep.
I sent you a check.
From me personally?
Yes.
I have it, but I'll check tomorrow. Thank you.
We're ready, Angela. We can get started. I think so.
Yep. And then I think if you go into Zoom, you can configure what is sent.
All right. Can I hide you here? Is
Yes.
that cool?
Yes, absolutely.
Where's the hide button? And then, so can I do this here?
That should
This?
that should send the side by speaker.
Because when I do this, I'll shut up. No, when I turn it back on, it's answering.
Christina, can you send me the pictures?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. All right. Hello. Good evening. Am I coming through clear enough? Can folks hear me? All right, awesome. Well, good afternoon/evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 Women of Achievement Awards ceremony. My name is Jasmine Tappan. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve on the board of directors for the YWCA Ames-ISU. On Wednesday, we celebrated International Women's Day, a day in which we recognize the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women globally and a call to action to gender parity. Today, the YWCA Ames-ISU is honoring the women in Story County by celebrating a group of women doing outstanding work in our community. The YWCA has been a part of the ISU in Story County since 1890 and is one of 4 YWCAs located in a university out of the 220 YWCAs existing nationwide. At the YWCA, we are dedicated to eliminating racism, empowering women and girls, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. In Story County, the YWCA aims at ISU does so through a series of programs led by volunteers. If you're interested in any of our programs or volunteering with us, serving on our board, or have any questions we can help answer, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Historically, our Women of Achievement Award ceremony has also served as our annual fundraising event as well. The funds that we raise are directed 100% to the support of our programs. We've been fortunate enough to have a series of sponsors help us this year. Thank you to all of our sponsors, but we are still a bit short from our goal. All right, our goal for this year is $12,000, and we are short by only $500. So we're hoping to raise these funds tonight. If you'd like to help us reach our goal, you can make a contribution using the information that appears on the screen, or you can reach out to any of the board members for other alternatives. In addition, we have our ongoing silent auction taking place right now, where you can bid on various items donated by local businesses within the Ames community. Bidding closes at 8 p.m. tonight, so go ahead and get your bidding started. All right, there's some pretty good items on there. There's a massage, there's like a $50 gift card. All right, some good stuff. I definitely recommend doing it. Okay, to kick off our evening, I would like to invite our guest speaker to the stage, Dr. Monique Bankin. Monique Bankin is the inaugural Associate Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Dr. Bankin is also an associate professor in the Department of Sociology and Criminal Justice and served as the director of the Leadership Studies program at Iowa State University from 2019 to 2021. A first-generation college student, Bankin completed her BA in psychology at the University of Houston. She then completed a joint JD, PhD program in psychology and the law, earning her Juris Doctorate degree from Golden Gate University School of Law and a PhD in clinical psychology from Pacific Graduate School of Psychology.
Could you just close that out real quick?
Oh, sure. Okay. Got it?
Thank you so much.
There you go. Okay. A lot happening here. Okay. You won't let me go back. Okay. All right. Bankin is licensed to practice law in Iowa and California. Her research focuses on designing and implementing alternative adjudication programs for mentally disordered offenders and addressing racial and ethnic disparities in complex systems. Dr. Bacon is also a former member of the Ames Community School Board, having served in that role from 2017 to 2021, and a former YWCA Women of Achievement honoree. She prioritizes collaboration, policy-based change, and integrating DEI efforts into daily practice among students, staff, and faculty in her personal, professional, and leadership roles. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Monique Bacon.
Oh, good evening. How's everybody doing? Can I close this? Is it okay if what happens if I close this? Let's see what happens. Okay. Could we move it? I need the lectern. We'll just put it on a chair. Thank you. Can you all hear me in the back? I can't see over these flowers. I'm just going to move the, okay. I know. I'll be here a while. Now, I promise. So under 10 minutes, okay? I promise. Okay. And I would just want to say, this is the size font you have to print your speech at when you get to be my age, so you can see it, okay? These dark rooms. I'd like to start by thanking the board of the YWCA Ames-ISU and the organizers of tonight's event for putting on such a wonderful celebration of leadership, advocacy, and empowerment. I'd also like to acknowledge tonight's honorees and their dedication to justice and to our community. I stand here tonight 3 days away from the 2-year anniversary of my last normal day. Ironically, I was at a leadership development seminar, and it was the last time I'd be with a group of people under our usual social customs. I remember that day well. When we got the order to shelter in place, we were all going to be homebound for a few days, I thought. 2 weeks at the most. I remember that trip to the grocery store to stock up. My husband and I gassed up both cars, made sure the flashlights had batteries, and I wondered if we needed to fill the bathtubs. As a native Houstonian, at some point I realized that I was planning for a hurricane, not a pandemic. I didn't know how to prepare. How could I? If only I knew what was to come. Since then, we've all been consumed with navigating the pandemic. Our lives have changed in ways both big and small. I remember what I used to think being an adult would be like when I was a kid. I never envisioned living through a pandemic. One of my hobbies is watching any kind of science fiction movie. I've seen just about every pandemic movie there is. In most of them, some unnaturally smart and astute scientist rushes in and saves the world just seconds before the virus gets out. However, in this very real world, our unnaturally smart and astute scientist never showed up. The past 2 years have been scary, frustrating, and confusing. For me, they've been triggering of past traumas and awakened new fears for the world that I'm leaving my children and your children. When I was writing this speech, the movie Interstellar was playing in the background. Right at this point, when I was writing these words, we were at the scene where Cooper goes to the parent-teacher conference and is confronted with the reality of a world that has destroyed itself with ignorance, greed, and denial. In the movie, their pandemic is blight, which has ravaged all the food sources on Earth with the exception of corn. During the parent-teacher conference, Cooper gets into an argument with a teacher who wants to punish his child for bringing a non-government approved textbook to class that tells about the Apollo space missions. In that not so distant future, it is accepted that the Apollo missions were propaganda meant to bankrupt the Soviet Union. They never really happened, and thinking anything other than that is disruptive, heretical, and unpatriotic. I've been thinking about that scene often since COVID started, and it's ironic that it was on when I was writing my remarks for you tonight. I truly worry that this could be our future. As I've been reflecting on these past 2 years, one thing is very clear. I have been changed by the pandemic. After watching the pandemic claim so many lives, I've become more aware of my own mortality, my own humanity, my legacy. We've all read story after story of death among the old and the young, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated, those with pre-existing conditions and those who thought they were healthy. So many stories. I've become more aware of how I spend my time, how I invest my energy, the things I allow into my life, how I relax, how I work, and how I lead. My leadership has become more focused, sharper, and louder. There is an urgency to the causes I care about, and that wasn't as focused as it is for me now. I got there by watching and learning from you. From watching tonight's award winners, from watching everyone in this room, and from watching our brothers and sisters in the struggle across the country. We all watched people stare down a still unknown pandemic to protest the murder of George Floyd. We saw people change the way they voted to be sure their voices could be heard in our presidential election. I'm part of a grassroots community group that regularly meets to push the school district to address the glaring racial disparities in the district. Rather than pausing our work, we changed the way that we met and communicated to ensure that our work didn't stop. But I'm not the only one who has changed my leadership during this socio-political uprising in the midst of a global pandemic. For example, medical students at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine rewrote the Hippocratic Oath to read, quote, "As the entering class of 2020, we start our medical journey amidst the COVID-19 pandemic and a national civil rights movement reinvigorated by the killings of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and Ahmaud Arbery. We honor the 700,000 plus lives lost to COVID, despite the sacrifices of healthcare workers. We recognize the fundamental failings of our healthcare and political systems in serving vulnerable communities. This oath is the first step in our enduring commitment to repairing the injustices against those historically ignored and abused in medicine. Black patients, Indigenous patients, patients of color, and all marginalized populations who have received substandard care as a result of their identity and limited resources. Another example is a group of students of color called the Mighty Shades of Ebony in Frankfort, Kentucky. These young people came together to protest an anti-critical race theory bill that would limit discussions on race that might make some students feel discomfort. Those students held a rally in the midst of COVID, and their leader said, quote, "A lot of our education and a lot of our history has been taught to us from the bias of white men. I don't want my history to be erased because it might make a girl sitting across from me in a predominantly white school uncomfortable." Even though the pandemic was raging, they found a way to raise their voices to fight injustice. They drew a line in the sand. And the truth is, we've all had to do that. Whether we know it or not, we have all drawn a line in the sand. Over the past 2 years, we've seen the veneer of our lives peeled away and the truth of the disparities we face on broad display. We've seen people in power float lies about the causes of the pandemic and appropriate responses to it. We've seen elected leaders spread lies about critical race theory. Our own legislators called the school district into a hearing to berate it for taking steps to establish equitable practices in our classrooms. And we've seen our neighbors come to believe that freedom means they have the right to put others at risk. And we have had to draw a line in the sand. No matter what else is going on, we will fight. We will fight lies, misinformation, disinformation, and injustice. As we've seen then and happening now, injustice doesn't take a break. Police brutality doesn't take a break. Medical disparities don't take a break. Educational disparities don't take a break. For those who try to strip away reproductive rights for women, they also don't take a break. The work is more urgent now than it has ever been, and we cannot take a break. But moments like this are part of the work. Stopping and getting all dolled up and coming together with others locked in the struggle is the work. Fighting to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all is exhausting. It just is. And we don't do this part of the work enough. I want you to know that you fill my cup. You push me to do better. You inspire me not to give up, even when the problems seem too big to fix. You encourage me to keep going, to do more, to be unrelenting. Tonight, we're here to recognize 9 amazing women of achievement who have demonstrated excellence in the midst of a global pandemic, socio-political racial uprising, political insurrection, legislative harassment, budget cuts, and this never-ending winter. You didn't give up. You didn't give up on your cause, and you didn't give up on us. You believed, and you helped us believe that better is possible. It would have been so easy to wrap yourself up in a cocoon during all of this and focus on you, but you didn't. Just like those who protested injustice in the streets, in our hospitals, in the halls of government, and in our schools, you recommitted to your causes. You recommitted to your communities. You recommitted to that future that you believe is possible, and you recommitted to us. So I want to say thank you, because I need you. I need you to keep showing us the light. So Lexi, Angela, Kara, Connie, Erica, Ellen, Maya, Michelle, and Sydney, thank you for being amazing women of achievement during these dark and chaotic times. Your leadership in this time of uncertainty sustains us in the struggle. You remind us that the hard work needed to meet these long-standing challenges never ends. And you remind us to keep going, even when all seems lost. So we are happy to come together tonight to celebrate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monique Bacon, for those very timely and amazing words. So like Dr. Bacon mentioned, today we are recognizing 9 amazing women who work daily toward our mission of eliminating racism and empowering women in our community. One of these women today will be receiving a $1,000 scholarship. This young woman is a 3rd-year majoring in graphic design with a minor in Spanish from the small town of Guthrie Center, Iowa. Since enrolled at Iowa State University, she has been actively involved in 7 clubs and organizations from a range of exec team positions to mentoring or simply serving as a general body member. While being a student, she served as a campus ambassador for Bumble College Community Marketing, as a campus media manager, and with the Black Sheep, one of the nation's largest online and offline marketing companies for digital delivery service, GoPuff, and French-owned skincare line La Roche-Posay, the #1 dermocosmetic worldwide brand recommended by 90,000 dermatologists. So a little plug if anybody wants it. As our university holds the #1 graphic design program in the state of Iowa, this young woman has undergone intense workloads, numerous all-nighters, and continuous pressures in fulfilling strict deadlines. The extremes of this major has shaped her persistence and determination towards her self-growth, which links to the effort she's influenced into the mission of the YWCA and all her other commitments. She considers her work ethic and network growth 2 of her top skills. Having grown attention to her name, she hopes to use these assets to her benefit post-graduation. She aspires to take this work ethic and expansion of connections into the music industry field as an album cover designer for rappers or the marketing team of a well-known brand. Please help me congratulate our 2022 YWCA Ames-ISU scholarship winner, Angela Martinez.
Thank you, Jasmine. Hi, my name is Angela Martinez, but everyone calls me Ange. As I was introduced a bit ago, I was able to reflect on my accomplishments and let them sink in. This is something I often tend to forget to do. I've gotten so used to constantly being on the go that I forget to credit myself for all I've accomplished. So thank you for doing that. Before I begin, I'd like to express my gratitude to you all for being here and inviting me to this year's ceremony. It truly is an honor. I want to give everyone a little background of the way I grew up. I'm from Mexico City. I was raised in a 100% authentic Latin household, hearing the phrase, no puedes hacer nada bien, a lot. In Spanish, this translates to, you can't do anything right. Now, you might be forming an impression of my parents as disencouraging, toxic, and deconstructive, but if there's anyone else in this room that grew up with the feeling of never satisfying your parents, you understand the phrase, that phrases like these now push you into proving them wrong. I was raised by my mom, a single mother of 10 years and counting. Brave, alpha, innovative, moving, hardworking, badass. are words that come to mind when I think of her. If there's anyone that's pushed me to be the person I am today, it's her. My urge to prove people wrong, my urge to do more, my urge to be absolutely content with myself and myself only, my urge to take advantage of what she didn't have, my urge to overachieve, my urge to stay dedicated, it all comes from her. If you ask people to describe me, oftentimes I hear something along the lines of hardworking and passionate. You see, a person can be hardworking, but is there even a purpose without a passion? Something I've noticed in my design career is the struggle that my classmates have with connecting to a project. An example that instantly comes to mind is my most recent project. As our final project for one of my studios last semester, we were given complete control in working with the topic we've always wanted to work with. Almost always, I bring each project back to social justice in areas I feel deserve attention. This intent is always in the back of my head, so tackling this one was a breeze. The title of my project was called "I Didn't Know This Came with Being a Rapper." I wanted to address an issue people don't always acknowledge when listening to rap music, separating the art from the artist. But I wanted my focus to be Black male artists. Black male rappers are often expected to fill the niches that nobody else does. Typically, they're seen as the spokespeople for change and a pedestal for society when they're already the people doing the heavy stuff, yet they're still expected to be vulnerable. Within this project, I spent 4 weeks analyzing the root of the lyrics and created designs that emphasize how their cry for help and push for solutions is right in front of our eyes. Art can connect people with suffering and allure viewers who identify or associate with struggling topics to seek the help that they need, but they're rarely taken into consideration when they open up about these topics. They are people too. This is just one example of hard work truly comes with the influence of passion. The same energy I put into my design being social justice based is the same energy I put into anything off a laptop screen. I want to share a more recent occurrence that shows the level of how my efforts align with the mission of YWCA. This happened during the same time as this project, so towards the end of the semester, I was overfilled with satisfaction knowing I was finally doing something right. For the sake of time, I won't go into too much detail, but I want to point out that I also didn't grow up being acknowledged for my successes. If I'm being honest, I can count on one hand how many times I remember my mom congratulating me, and this was one of those times. So I'm over the moon ecstatic to share this with you all and how they've influenced my involvement with YWCA. As our final project in my art history course, we were assigned to hand make a mask that incorporated and connected a personal story to past art movements and artists we've previously discussed. In a lecture of approximately 100 students, only I and another classmate had tied our culture and heritage into our masks. The incident first started when it came to her turn to present. Her mask included the Vietnamese saying, "Jia Dai Lai," my completely butchered up, I'm so sorry, translating to family is forever. She then went into stating she's first generation, why the saying is important to her. The response this professor proceeded with triggered me enough to take action. She finished presenting and he began to ask her how her parents traveled to America, insinuating both that they came by boat and that they fled as a result of the Vietnamese War. But he didn't stop here. Without knowing, he had targeted me 6 presenters after. I presented my mask and went into the significance of calaveras in Aztec and Mexican culture, while using a design movement to balance keywords in my life that connected my culture and significantly impacted parts of my life. Bottom line, it screams Mexican. I present further detail of what I just shared with you, and the response my professor showed how much he misacknowledged anything related to my mask. "Have you ever been approached by deportation?" he asked. "No." "Oh, well, that's good." When I turned around, I knew this wasn't going to sit well with me. Immediately after class, I drafted an email sent to our university president, Wendy Winterstein, and Luis Rico Gutierrez, the dean of the College of Design. CC'd to that email included my senior associate dean, interim graphic design chairperson, director of multicultural student success, assistant dean of students and director of multicultural student affairs, and 182 other CC recipients. These people were helpful in helping me craft what the after process looked like. In response to this email, my classmate and I met with them once to discuss the situation, a second time to propose resolutions, and a third time to finalize the removal of his position. This wasn't an easy process. Oftentimes in universities, situations like this rarely get acknowledged. But if only the professor would have known that I was and am in my prime of promoting social justice and being the voice I couldn't be growing up. To eliminate racism, to empower women, to promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. I've never been at a point in my life where I can confidently say I'm doing everything in my power to align myself with the morals like that of YWCA. Remember the phrase I grew up with? no puedes hacer nada bien. When I realized that the satisfaction in fulfilling this phrase, it isn't going to come with satisfying my mom, I realized that sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same thing. I was fortunate enough to experience this firsthand growing up with a mother like mine, a hard worker with a passion. It is this influence of her intimidation, drive, criticism, and perseverance that significantly impacts the outcome of where my time and energy goes. My design project and determination to fire the professor brings me the utmost satisfaction knowing I was embracing the mission of YWCA. Being a person of color at a predominantly white institution has assured me of the fact that although I am a minority, I will not be minoritized. I strive to make the most out of experiences for the people that fail to be heard. It is this mindset that continues to show up in all my involvements. I had to adjust to work for what I want, nothing more. Simple as that. Thank you.
Angela, you gotta come accept your award, hon. You gotta come get the award. There you go. There we go. Yes. Come. Your picture will be over here. Another round of applause for Angela Martinez, folks. Awesome. No, you're good. You just go around. Go around. You got it. All right. Our next winner is receiving the Young Woman of Tomorrow Award. She's a second-year master's student in the School of Education at Iowa State University. She came to Iowa State after receiving her bachelor's degree in sociology from the University of Minnesota, Morris. Along with her student responsibilities, she holds a graduate assistantship in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences Multicultural Student Success Office, where she teaches the BOLD learning community and creates programming for multicultural students in the college. This young woman has exemplified the YWCA mission both through her professional work and extracurricular activities. Through the BOLD curriculum, she teaches students the importance of connecting leadership to their social identities. In doing so, she is committed to empowering women and students of color to challenge antiquated, racist, and misogynistic leadership ideas and see themselves as leaders. Additionally, through targeted programming, she aims to create inclusive spaces for women and students of color on a campus where those spaces do not always exist. Finally, she serves as the president of ISU's Black Graduate Student Association. She and her fellow board members are working hard to reinstate the People of NIA program, the graduation ceremony and celebration of Black and African identifying ISU students that occurs each spring that has been on hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Please help me congratulate our 2022 YWCA Ames-ISU Young Women of Tomorrow winner, Alexis Dand.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Okay, cool. Bear with me, my printer ran out of ink, so I'm reading this very small off my phone. First of all, thank you for having me here tonight. As Jasmine said, I am Lexi. I've always known that I wanted to make a difference in the lives of others, to push the boundaries of society. I thought it would be as a doctor, caring for those most vulnerable. However, it wasn't until college when I finally discovered my passion for education. I had always been a dedicated student, but my undergraduate experience highlighted the challenges many face in pursuing their education, myself included. As a woman of color, I had firsthand experience with the barriers associated with completing an education. I knew this was my way to push those boundaries by supporting women and students of color in their academic journeys. The system of education has perpetuated endless amounts of harm, but it can also serve as a form of liberation. As the late Bell Hooks once said, education as the practice of freedom is not just about liberatory knowledge, it is about a liberatory practice in the classroom. As an educator, practitioner, mentor, and student, I am committed to challenging the norm and upholding the YWCA's mission to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, dignity, and freedom for all. But I'm not only committed to their mission, I am their mission. Every day, I enter spaces systematically designed to exclude me. In those spaces, I am empowered and finding my own justice and challenging the system designed to keep me out. Before I conclude, I wanted to express some well-deserved thanks. First, to Arnold Woods, my nominator, supervisor, and friend. Secondly, to the YWCA for their work and dedication to their mission. And finally, to my mom, my grannies, my aunties, my sisters, my nieces, and my friends, all of whom are women that without I would not be here today. And for that reason, this award is not just mine, it's ours.
Yes, definitely get your photos. Get your photos. Yes. Another round of applause for Alexis Dan, folks. Great job, Lexi. No, you're good. All right. Our next winner is also receiving the Young Woman of Tomorrow Award. She's currently in her third year at Iowa State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. She currently is a student researcher in the Brewer Parasitology Lab in the Department of Pathology. For her undergraduate education, she attended Utah State University on a full-ride athletic scholarship for their NCAA Division I women's volleyball team, where she received her Bachelor's of Science in Animal, Dairy, and Veterinary Science with a minor in Biology and Chemistry. She is co-founder and is now serving as co-president of the ISU Voice chapter, Veterinarians as One Inclusive Community for Empowerment. The student-run chapter seeks to increase awareness, respect, and sensitivity to differences among individuals and communities in the field of veterinary medicine, and aims to celebrate diversity within the profession. The chapter coordinates educational events, as well as community outreach and volunteer opportunities for the entire CVM community to participate in. After its first year, the student organization won the Outstanding Commitment to Diversity Award. She also serves on the Committee for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, which is dedicated to making and keeping ISU CVM a welcoming and inclusive place to learn and work. After graduation, she plans to apply for a residency in veterinary anatomical pathology and continues working within the realm of leadership and DEI. Please help me congratulate our 2022 YWCA Ames at ISU Young Woman of Tomorrow winner, Erica Moscoso.
All right, I'm pulling a page out of Alexis's book. I'm also going to be reading from my phone, so sorry. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you all for having me tonight. It is such an honor to receive this award, and I'm so humbled that my mentors thought of me for this nomination. It's truly inspiring to be in a room with so many other like-minded people who lift others up around them, celebrate diversity, and promote meaningful, inclusive, and equitable change in the world around them. As mentioned, I have had the great opportunity to be very involved in diversity work at the college since I came here back in 2019. As a person of color and an underrepresented minority within veterinary medicine, it's hard to see myself reflected and well represented within my profession. Throughout my journey just to get into veterinary school, I shadowed and worked with multiple veterinarians who were wonderful mentors to me, but I never had once seen a veterinarian who looked like me. Even coming to veterinary school, I did not see myself reflected among my peers or my professors. Not only until I joined the MCVMA, which is the Multicultural Veterinary Medical Association. I lost my spot, so sorry. Not until I joined the MCVMA did I see other Filipino veterinarians, and there aren't very many of us. To put in perspective, based off an article published in 2013, veterinary medicine was dubbed being one of the most homogenous professions, where white folk made up 92% of veterinary medicine. This was updated in 2020 that we have now been bumped from this title from speech pathologist and dental hygienist, and the 92% has fallen, but only to 90% in the last almost 10 years. How frustrating is that? Something has to change. Now, we all know the idea of DEI is not something new. The fight for equity and inclusion for all is something that has been an uphill battle and has been wrongly politicized. And the fact that we are still fighting for the same basic human decency just because of our differences in gender identity, sexuality, or our race can sometimes feel defeating and exhausting that the change isn't happening quick enough. Sometimes it's discouraging to keep doing the work that we do today, that we do day in and day out. But change, although we'd like it to, doesn't happen overnight. I hope to continue to use my platform and my voice to continue advocating for those who are feeling the same defeat, and use it as fuel to keep going and to keep pushing. Because if we don't push our boundaries and we allow ourselves to be complacent is when we not only feel ourselves, but those around us. Although I'm here tonight to accept this award, I don't do the work that I do for the recognition, for the awards, or for the praise. I put in the work for myself and all other minorities within the profession because feeling small, feeling not seen, and being overlooked is my lived experience, not only within the profession, but throughout my life. I challenge everyone here tonight and everyone listening in online to ask yourself to get outside your comfort zone, to think outside of your own perspective, support people of color, people from diverse backgrounds, or just be an ally and show up for them. Small notions really go a long way. I want to take the time to say thank you to those who nominated me for this award, Drs. Andresen, Greenlee, Grooms, Obink, and Lisa Sebring. Thank you to my family, my amazing friends, and my partner who's here with me tonight. And thank you to the YWCA for presenting this award to me. And thank you to everyone in this room for putting in the work. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erica. All right, folks, you'll definitely see this slide a couple more times tonight, so we'll definitely chat about it. But again, as a reminder, do not forget, if you are willing to donate to the YWCA, feel free to utilize our marketplace. You can also donate through ISU Foundation with YWCA as the memo. And again, our silent auction is auctioning, so the bidding wars are happening. I highly recommend getting on those bids if you can. But our next awardee is Ellen Grimm. Ellen Grimm is a co-owner of Dog-Eared Books in downtown Ames. She holds an English degree from Iowa State University. Prior to selling books, she was a middle school and high school English language arts teacher in Williamsburg, Iowa, and in Ames. She serves on the Ames Main Street Board and on the board of the Ames Writers Collective. Her nominator said the following: by providing a space for Ames that intentionally values and prioritizes inclusivity, Ellen is creating a legacy of readers, young and old, who will be touched by the windows and mirrors offered by her selection of stories. She has made it a point to lead while listening, which has allowed Dog-Eared Books to grow handsomely into its role as one of the few places on Main Street where BIPOC and queer folks feel welcomed and valued. How can we reach the most folks in the fight against sexism, transphobia, racism, and xenophobia? By giving an outlet for voices and stories that will build a foundation of empathy, understanding, and inclusion. She is touching so many lives with her business. Please help me congratulate Ellen Grimm as a 2022 Women of Achievement Entrepreneurship Award recipient.
I didn't know I was next, so that was a surprise. So my store, Dog-Eared Books, opened 1 year ago this week. And prior to opening, my business partner Amanda and I spent a great deal of time reflecting on what we wanted our store to be about. We curated with representation and inclusivity in mind, and this is because we believe the sharing of stories allow us to connect and to grow empathy. And we believe that it's important for all of us to see our own experiences and others' experiences reflected in the stories we consume. And all of that is true. But claiming these values, however genuine, and stocking our shelves with all kinds of stories isn't actually very much. On the very first day we opened, a fellow Main Street business owner called the store and asked if we had a book by a certain right-wing talking head. I told her we did not have the book, and she asked if I would order in a copy. Now, we do this kind of special ordering all the time. If we don't carry a book, we'll happily order it in. I told her we didn't have the book, but I ordered it for her anyway. And the book was really harmful. And I felt like total crap after this. And I felt that way because I knew that the book was harmful. On day one, I did something that went against the very thing I was trying to do. And I did it because I didn't want to offend somebody. And to make matters worse, now I was going to profit from it. I'm not proud that that was the choice that I made on that day. But it was a catalyst for some really meaningful discussion with Amanda and with our booksellers about how to set policies and ensure that our business practices are in alignment with our values, even if those practices sometimes come at a cost. Now when we make decisions about ordering, about donations, about events that we do, and how to use the platforms that we're given, we always talk about whether the thing we're deciding is in alignment with our values. I grew up in Ames. I graduated from Ames High School and Iowa State University, and I lived in Storms, which is no longer there, but you're in the comments. And to me, as a white woman, Ames has always felt like a really welcoming place. I was proud to call such a diverse, by Iowa standards, town my home. But over the past several years in my work as a teacher at Ames Middle School, and now as a small business owner, I've come to understand that Ames isn't that place of belonging for a lot of people. White progressives are a large part of this problem. And I think it's because too many of us take pride in Ames diversity, but we don't consider the lack of belonging, and we don't consider our own role in making Ames a belonging place. We say the right things, and that makes us the good guys. But the trust necessary for creating true belonging can only happen when our actions are aligned with our professed values. It is not enough for an organization, a business, an individual, to say they believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion, but then turn away from that work the moment it requires a personal cost, or humility, or discomfort. When we do that, that causes so much harm, and we should challenge ourselves to do better. I thank you, YWCA, for this award and the work you're doing in our community. So many women I admire and aspire to be like are in this room and have been honored by you before. I have a lot of hope for our community, and I challenge everyone here and everyone who's listening in our personal lives, in our professional lives, to always make our actions consistent with the values that we claim. Thank you.
No, you're fine, you're fine. You're good. We're just awkwardly maneuvering around here. We're making it work, making it work. There's the slide again. All right, thank you so much, Ellen, for those kind words. Our next recipient is Maya Bartle. Maya Bartle is a doctoral student in the Human Sciences and Family Studies Department at Iowa State University. In this role, her work focuses on the experiences of LGBTQ+ families and improving higher education for underrepresented students and faculty. This research uplifts the voices of participants and challenges popular assumptions about these groups. She is currently working on her dissertation, which focuses on trans parents who have adopted and fostered children and seeks to improve how these systems engage in the LGBTQ+ community. During her time at ISU, Maya has worked with the Gender and Sexual Diversity Initiatives in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to develop university-wide training on gender and sexual diversity. This training updates the Safe Zone training and will be launched soon. Maya also works part-time for an adoption nonprofit in Oregon, and in this role seeks to support foster and adoptive families and professionals. Please help me congratulate Maya Bartle as the 2022 Women of Achievement, Diversity, and Allyship Award recipient. There we go.
Thank you for this award and for all of you attending in person and virtually tonight. I'm honored to be selected as a 2022 recipient for the YWCA's Women of Achievement, Diversity, and Allyship Award. The work that the YWCA does is so incredible and so important. Their work in empowering underrepresented groups to thrive is so critical and offers a model for supporting our community. As I reflect on my experiences in Ames, I'm continually amazed by the work ethic and commitment of the faculty and staff I have gotten to work with in the last couple of years. These faculty and staff have inspired me and provided avenues for me to create more equitable environments for us all. With these individuals, I have been given the platform to develop diversity education and develop recommendations for improving higher education for all students. I also remain indebted and grateful to the participants who have inspired and driven my research. I have addressed gaps in the research surrounding trans parents and their families. Through this work, I hope to address the inequities and opportunities and services available to parents. And being given the voice to do this work from the ISU and Ames community, I've been able to uplift the voices of my participants as well. It is an honor to be recognized for this work, and thank you again for this award.
Thank you so much, Maya. Two clicks, all right. All right, next, we have the pleasure to recognize Constance P. Hargrave. Constance P. Hargrave serves as the Associate Dean of Equity and Engagement in the Iowa State University College of Engineering and is Professor of Educational Technology and Critical Multicultural Education in the ISU College of Human Sciences. Hargrave's research examines the social, educational, and cultural factors that contribute to student interest, motivation, and persistence to study in STEM fields. Her current work examines the STEM educational development pathways for students of color as well. Hargrave is the past director of Iowa State University Science Bound from 2016 to 2017, from 2006 to 2017, a nationally recognized university-based comprehensive college preparation program to equip middle and high school students of color to pursue degrees and careers in STEM. Her nominator said the following: Connie is a woman of achievement because she uses her time, talent, and passion for empowering friends and strangers alike. Connie selflessly gives off her energy because she has the attitude that your problem is my problem too. I look up to her, as do the other 10 sister scholars at ISU that meet twice per year around a breakfast or dinner table to connect and support each other. That's right, there are 11 of us, Black women, tenured faculty across all of the Iowa State University. Not me, but there are them. Using her knowledge of serving the institution and being a part of the ISU faculty and Ames community since 1993, Connie is always available to provide a listening ear, offer wise counsel, and use her intimate knowledge of Iowa culture and practices to guide and inspire us. Please help me congratulate Constance P. Hargrave as the 2022 Women of Achievement Education Award recipient.
My nominators put the year in there that I've been here. Good evening. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you so much for this honor. I'm humbled, and this really is not my thing. I'm very humbled by this and amazed, simply amazed and inspired at another level by the stories, the integrity, the strength of the young women we've already recognized this evening, and also the words of our speaker. So again, I'm honored to be included with such an amazing group of women. I'm in some ways, some might say, on a different part of my journey or on the other side of that young women's. I'm on the G of young women. And so I'm just encouraged and so deeply inspired. Receiving the Young Women's Christian Association recognition is truly humbling and sobering because it shows that the work that we do every day, the effort, the grind that we engage in, seen, it's valued, it's impactful, and it's important. It's critically important. So I want to thank the wonderful women who nominated me. These are selfless people, much like the other honorees there, selfless people who look to see how they can lift up others as they also climb to greater heights. It's this kind of lifting that has brought me here today, lifting by amazing women whose blood I share. Reminds me of my sister Christine, my grandmother Lola, on my mother's side, who was would stand on the corner, not the bus corner, and spin her cane, insisting that the bus stopped for her. My grandmother, Mother Maggie, and Big Mama Betty, who was the matriarch of our family, who was just the first generation born outside of slavery, who raised her children, and my grandmother and my father, and so on and so on. There are also so many other women. If you take a moment in your life to think about the women who have raised you, who have nurtured your spirit, who have encouraged you along the way. And take a moment, I encourage you to call them out, to speak to them, to share that message. It's so very important. What I've learned from and cherished from the women who have spoken into my life is this truth, that strength is for service. It is not for status. So as you grow in your strength, as you continue to go to new heights, and you gain power and position, remember that your strength is for service. It is not for status. Being a woman who chooses to take on the issues, who chooses to work to eliminate racism, a woman who chooses to empower other women, takes a level not just of strength, but a level of vulnerability, where you have to put yourself out there. You have to go into the uncomfortable spaces. I want you to know that vulnerability is a strength. It is not portrayed as a strength in our world. It's seen as weak, but it's a strength. And sometimes for women, it is our secret strength, because that integrity that we operate from when we're vulnerable, we're never wrong. That vulnerability is a strength. And I want you to remember that about other women. I like this quote. I want to share this quote from Joy McCullough. "And listen to me, love. When a woman risks her place, her very life, to speak a truth the world despises, believe her always." The work that we're engaged in is that of a fight. It's a struggle. It's a constant struggle. You get up every day. You do your thing. You go to your classes. You work where you work. You raise issues when somebody microaggresses. You take with humility the microaggression and seek to redirect and guide somebody. Or you stand up and you step forward. It is work and it is a struggle. But I want you to also remember that there is joy in the struggle, and that joy is because of your right standing. What you're doing is right. So although it's hard, although the struggle is hard, and they say the struggle really is real, there's a joy in that. I encourage you to find that joy. So I have lots of sisters, some who look like me, some who hold my blood, but anybody who's engaged in the struggle for justice, racial justice, justice along lines of gender, and everywhere there is injustice, those are my sisters. The female warrior knows how to fight without violence. She knows when not to raise her sword, but instead hold up her heart. Her shield is not a defense against others, but so often a shelter for all. Thank you so much.
Yes, another round of applause for Connie Hargrave, folks. All right, we're rocking and rolling. Here we go. Okay. Next up, our next recipient is Sydney Paris. Sydney Paris is what a lot of us strive to be every day, and what we want our children to grow up and value as a role model. Sydney not only works multiple jobs while attending ISU full-time, she also holds multiple leadership roles on campus, in clubs on campus that range from Cardinal Key, the highest honor society, to the Escape Room Club, just for fun. Sydney has been on the dean's list every semester she has been enrolled full-time. Sydney has held leadership positions from president of Cardinal Key to community manager of the Wild Animals Club. Sydney helps anyone in need when she can. She assisted with a privilege walk through the STEM Scholars Program, is working on finding more ways to bring survivors of domestic violence together, and serve food at Food at First. She is compassionate, understanding, and always ready to lend a helping hand. Sydney does this and more while juggling a full-time college schedule, work schedule, and helping care for her grandmother. She spends some time with her friends, some time relaxing, and a lot of time working on her future goals in life. Not only to complete her career goals, but to continue helping others, helping animals, and spending time with her family. Please help me congratulate Sydney Paris as the 2022 Women of Achievement Student Leader Award recipient.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I have to pull up my computer really quick. Alrighty. Usually they save the best for last, but it's really hard to follow up with you, Connie. Like, dang. Alrighty. So I am overwhelmed with gratitude that you all chose me for this year's winner of the YWCA Women of Achievement Award for Student Leader category. I'm honored to be one of the women selected, and I'm surrounded by amazing role models, and I look forward to hearing the rest of your exemplary examples. So when I graduated high school, I was actually voted the most quiet girl, and now I'm standing here today winning an award for student leader. Over the course of my time at Iowa State, I've actually held 8 presidential roles, including president of the American Pre-Veterinary Medical Association, which is a national role that allows me to represent Iowa State across the nation and provide opportunities for pre-veterinary students across the country. I've held multiple other leadership roles as well as volunteering when the opportunity presents itself. Whether I'm presiding over the APVMA conference or helping serve food at First, I'm never alone in my accomplishments. I'm surrounded by amazing men and women in this community, and it is evident that we all love to help whenever we can. I really want to thank all the individuals that have helped me get to where I am today. So I really want to thank Cardinal Key Honor Society for giving me the opportunity to work on putting together a peer mentor program that allows alumni and current members to get together and explore different options together. I also want to thank Dr. Howard Tyler of the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences for working with me and helping me to find help after experiencing a domestically abusive relationship. Dr. Tyler helped see my strength when I believed that it was totally gone. He renewed my strength and helped me realize that I can further help others who have experienced similar circumstances. And I'm working on putting together an anonymous group for women of domestic violence in our community. This would be a place free of doctors, forms of identity, and full of friends and people who understand. Lastly, I would like to thank those who have supported me my entire life: my mom, my grandma, my aunt, and my grandpa. Without their love and support, I would not be here today. They are the true role models in my life. I will continue to empower my fellow women, help build up those around me, and provide a safe place for those in need to share their stories to find the help they need. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Sydney Paris. All right, folks, we're back with the small plug for the silent auction. So just to give you all just a few items that are available. So we got going. We have a 60-minute massage from Healing with Heart for those who may be interested, looking for a massage. We got a $50 gift card to the Provisions Lot F. So if you're a brunchy or a foodie like myself, I'd get on that. It's raising. It's getting a little high up there. All right. We also have some 4 Iowa Cubs minor league baseball tickets for those interested in the sports ball. I'm not a big sports fan, but if you are interested, I highly recommend doing it. We got a $20 dog-eared books gift card. So for those who are readers, definitely check it out. Again, Ellen's in the room, can definitely probably give you some options and things to choose from. All right, as well as some Raymond Gardens tickets we're also selling as well. So those are just a few small plugs of the things that we have going with our silent auction. Again, a lot more other items as well, so definitely get to bidding if you have yet to bid, because the bidding war is a bidding. But we will press on with our schedule for today. Our next awardee is Michelle Shaw. A native of France, Dr. Michelle A. Shaw pursued her graduate studies in the USA at Indiana University in Bloomington so as to provide her work with a gender studies perspective. While ABD, she spent 4 years in Germany where she was part of the Free University's French Studies Center. Dr. Shaw joined Iowa State University in 2012 and is currently an associate professor of French and Women's and Gender Studies at Iowa State University. She's a leading specialist of French author and feminist Virginie Despentes and has published extensively on French feminisms and women writers. Dr. Shaw is currently working on a book dedicated to Despentes' work. At ISU, she teaches from the Department of World Languages and Cultures a variety of French courses, including grammar, reading, and conversation, and literature. For the Women and Gender Studies program, she has taught Introduction to Women's Studies, Feminist Theory, a seminar on contemporary feminist manifestos, and the course on intersectionality. Her nominator said the following. Since 2012, Dr. Michelle A. Shaw has striven to empower women, eliminate racism, among other issues, as well as LGBTIQAP+ phobia through her ISU courses. To her, teaching constitutes a powerful manner to raise students' awareness regarding injustice and to empower them to effectively address and remedy social issues. A faculty within World Languages and Cultures and Women and Gender Studies, she fully grasps how many students are personally impacted by and/or committed to ending sexism, racism, and other forms of oppression. Promoting an inclusive, collaborative environment and designing expansive course syllabi has always been crucial for her. As a specialist of contemporary women writers and feminisms, she has emphasized, regardless of the discipline or level taught, the contributions by women, BIPOC, and LGBTIQAP+ artists, theorists, and activists included in her French courses. Please help me congratulate Michelle Shaw as a 2022 Women of Achievement Education Award recipient.
Oh, thank you. Oh no, my shoes always steal the show, and then no one pays attention to what I say. I should known by now, right? But hey, well, this is really funny because whenever I have to prepare a speech, a class, or even a conference talk that I give, I always start with a sort of a meltdown that I have absolutely nothing to say, and I always end up with far more than I expected. So I have two choices tonight. Either deliver to you my speech, like in a commercial where they say stuff super fast, and or cut something. So I decided to go for the super fast version. No, I'm kidding, of course. So very silly jokes aside, I am very proud and humbled to be a recipient of one of the YWCA Women of Achievement Awards tonight. It means a lot to me. And I would like to thank my colleague from World Languages and Cultures, Christina Pardo-Belaster, for her support, but also for my chair in WLC, Chad Gasta, for nominating me. I would also like to thank all the generous donors for making tonight's event possible, and of course, and last but not least, all of you for attending the event tonight. Now, before I begin my speech, I would like to take a minute to issue a statement. It is the Iowa State University's land acknowledgement. ISU is located on the ancestral lands and territory of the Bakotse, or Iowa Nation. The United States obtained the land from the Meskwaki and Sauk nations in the Treaty of 1842. We wish to recognize our obligations to this land and to the people who took care of it, as well as to the 17,000 Native people who live in Iowa today. However, tonight I am also providing the addendum that one of my PhD students, Stephanie Clark, made at the iScore conference last year, and Stephanie granted me the permission to use her addendum. And I quote, "The desires, history, and lives of Indigenous persons living in Iowa remain largely invisible. To truly implement decolonization, the restoration and not stewardship of these lands needs to be acknowledged as well," end quote. Second, and since I am a recipient of a YWCA award, an organization whose mission is to eliminate racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all, it is crucial to state my positionality. As an educator and scholar, I use terminology, concepts, and material initially developed by marginalized communities that I do not belong to. In my career as a student, scholar, and educator, I've learned about, used, and taught writings, performance pieces, scholarship, and all other cultural items from, on, and by marginalized communities, such as BIWOC and sex-positive feminism, disability studies, or LGBTIQAP+ perspectives. All have challenged me in many positive manners and made me realize and address covered biases that I did not know I harbored in me. For this, I will be always grateful. As a white, straight, cisgender, able-bodied, middle-class, college-educated Western woman with a long list of privileges, I hope that my teaching and scholarship were and remain acts of alliance and not of appropriation. Now, as was introduced, I started my career here at ISU, and providing my students with a diverse corpus has always been very important to me. Now, if I ask many of you, what a French person looks like, you would probably say one like me, white, middle class, and so on and so forth. So I think it was very important for me to show that France is also something else, that it has a diverse population. So it has been very important to highlight these perspectives as well in my French courses, but also in my WGS courses. And I also understand that to empower all students, but especially those from underrepresented and marginalized communities, that students' lived experiences and knowledge must be validated and represented beyond tokenism. For that purpose, my classes, including, as I said, my French ones, highlight the contributions by women, BIPOCs, and LGBTIQAP+ artists, theorists, and activists. So my classes are designed to decenter me as the supposed voice of authority, quote unquote, of course, and let the students make the course and material their own. Finally, I would like to dedicate this award to 3 people. First of all, my mom, who has always been a strong supporter of everything I've done. Second, if I have been successful at ISU, it is thanks to a Black woman, Professor Gloria Jones-Johnson, the former director of Women's and Gender Studies here at ISU. And finally, to my grandfather, for whom dignity for all mattered, and who taught me from very early on in my life to respect everyone, regardless of who they are and regardless of their differences. Now, don't worry, he was not a champion of colorblindness, and this is not what I'm saying here. But if he had not taught me to respect the dignity of all, to respect all, I would not have been as open to different perspectives especially that challenged my many privileges. I mean, that would not have happened if it had not been for him. And he passed away earlier this year, so this is also for him. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much.
Yes, another round of applause for Michelle, please. Yes. And those shoes, yes. All right. Whew. Well, we have reached the end of our program with our very last winner. Our last winner of the night is Kara B. Stone. Kara Stone is an instruction librarian at Iowa State University, where she works with the first-year information literacy courses and liaises with the School of Education. Prior to becoming a librarian, Kara worked in the public schools as a music educator. She is active in Iowa's library associations, having been elected to serve on both the Iowa Library Association Executive Board, as well as the ILA Association of College and Research Libraries Executive Board. She founded the ILA Community for Diversity and Inclusion in 2016 and served as chair through 2019 and has co-led the Iowa Private Academic Libraries Information Literacy Interest Group annual workshop since their inception in 2013. They might need to shorten that. Kara serves as a managing editor for the International Journal of Information, Diversity, and Inclusion and has presented at several conferences, including the annual conference on the first year experience, the Council of Independent Colleges Information Fluency in the Disciplines Workshop, LOEX, and the Midwest Archives Conference Fall Symposium. Since 2016, Kara has been a trained American Association of University Women Start Smart Salary Negotiation Workshop facilitator. She has helped with several workshops at ISU and Grandview University with the aim of empowering participants to successfully advocate for themselves and hopefully helping close the gender pay gap in the process. Her favorite part of any and all of her roles is working with and learning from others as they strive to achieve their academic, personal, and professional goals. Please help me congratulate Kara Stone as the 2022 Women of Achievement Literacy Empowerment Award recipient. So Kara cannot be with us today physically, but she has recorded her speech. And so we'll get that up and running for y'all in just a sec.
Hello, folks. Can you hear me? Can I get a thumbs up? Yes. Okay. Thank you all for this recognition. There are so many remarkable people doing exceptional work, both in this year's list of awardees and those from past years, as well as the fantastic work of those in the YWCA who make these awards and other community programs happen. I also want to take a moment to recognize and thank the important women and allies in my life who have helped shape my worldview. Most importantly, my mom, but also the rest of my family, my friends, and the women I've been fortunate to work with in a variety of contexts, and Dr. Amy Getty for introducing me to the American Association of University Women workshops. I was initially nominated because of the collaborative work I've done around the AAUW Start Smart salary negotiation workshops. I couldn't have done any of this work without the fantastic folks at ISU's Margaret Sloss Center for Women and Gender Equity, the Iowa State University for Women in Science and Engineering, AAUW, and the workshop participants. To give a little context, the AAUW Start Smart curriculum is designed to inform and empower participants to advocate for their value, build their negotiation skills, and work to close the gender pay gap. Anywhere I go, I want to engage, grow, and contribute to progress and empower those around me to do the same. So when I arrived at ISU in 2017, I immediately reached out to Sloss House to see if there was interest in these salary negotiation workshops, as I had previously been involved with them at my past institution. I was excited to learn that right about the same time, are we having sound issues?
Yeah.
Okay. No worries. I work in tech and online, and I know how that party can be sometimes. If I can get a thumbs up whenever y'all are ready.
Can you try talking now?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, this is gonna give us issues. Hold on.
You want me to just call in on the phone? Any difference? I can also call in if that's easier.
One second.
No worries.
Right, here's what we're gonna try to do.
Maybe muting the external speakers on the computer?
Yeah.
Perfect.
1 second.
No, we are not gonna hear her.
Any luck? Just let me know if it's ready. Any luck?
We love technology, folks. This is not on. All right, awesome. Again, as a reminder, a little plug.
Please join the silent auction. As you know, the bids are bidding. Thank you very much. The bids are bidding, so definitely get in on some of the fun stuff we have to offer. Again, that massage is going for, I think, 30 right now, so pretty decent. If you want to go throw me in the hat, listen, somebody would love for somebody to put my name down for the gift card, because your girl likes to eat. But definitely check it out. Again, join the silent auction, and if you are willing, don't forget to donate to our marketplace as well. We are always accepting donations to be a part of the YWCA. So we're just going to get a moment as technology wraps up. All right, we're going to try it again, but definitely work with us, folks.
I don't think she can hear. Can you hear us?
Any better?
Carla?
What do we think?
I don't think so. Can you hear us? No.
Any luck?
I don't think she's even.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
No,
Hey! All right. That was a success, hey, and not a something else stopped working, hey, right? Like a thumbs up? Yes? Okay, friends. Hello. Can I get a thumbs up on the visual screen of the person at the podium just to make sure? Thumbs up. Ah, yes, wonderful. The technology gods are smiling upon us. Okay, thank you, friends. Thank you all for this recognition and for your patience as we work through the technology. There are so many remarkable people doing exceptional work, both in this year's list of awardees and those from past years, as well as the fantastic work of those in the YWCA who make these awards and other community programs happen. I also want to take a moment to recognize and thank the important women and allies in my life who have helped shape my worldview. Most importantly, my mom, but also the rest of my family, my friends, and the women I've been fortunate to work with in a variety of contexts. And Dr. Amy Getty for introducing me to the American Association of University Women workshops. I was initially nominated because of the collaborative work I've done around the AAUW Start Smart Salary Negotiation workshops. I couldn't have done any of this without the fantastic folks at ISU's Margaret Sloss Center for Women and Gender Equity, the Iowa State University Program for Women in Science and Engineering, AAUW, and the workshop participants. To give a little context, the AAUW Start Smart curriculum is designed to inform and empower participants to advocate for their value, build their negotiation skills, and work to close the gender pay gap. Anywhere I go, I want to engage, grow, and contribute to progress and empower those around me to do the same. So when I arrived at ISU in 2017, I immediately reached out to the Sloss House to see if there was interest in these salary negotiation workshops, as I'd previously been involved with them at my past institution. I was excited to learn that right about that same time, the folks at Sloss were also exploring the curriculum, so I immediately volunteered to help out in any way I could. It's now several years later, and I'm still excited to engage with participants and help them recognize their value, advocate for themselves, and work together for pay equity. Over the years, I've had participants reach out to me after a workshop to practice or ask questions, and I wanted to share one of their stories with their permission. One participant reached out because they'd just gotten an offer, but it was $1,000 below the target salary they'd hoped to make. We met, we had a little pep talk, we reviewed and mapped out some strategies from the workshop, like using salary research to advocate for market value and countering using a salary range as opposed to a concrete number. Not only did the employer come back to meet this participant's initial expectations, they provided them with $7,000 over the initial salary offer. That's $6,000 more than they'd originally went in hoping to make. They were confident and clear and used a rationale that spoke to the company, and they walked away not only in a better position for themselves, but also that one person's success helps move the needle forward towards closing the gender pay gap. To me, this award and the work of YWCA Ames-ISU is about cultivating awareness and taking action steps. And growing into my role as a facilitator with AAUW, it's helped me reflect and ask, what are my skills? What can I do? Where's there a need? What privilege do I have? And how can I use it positively? And how can I connect with others to further the work? I think the common thread that we've seen throughout tonight is that folks are staying intentionally engaged to ask, what's next? We're all thinking about how what we're doing can have an impact moving forward and can empower those around us in the processes to improve or disrupt the systems we're working within. Let's keep using our privilege to challenge systems. Let's continue to identify our strengths and be realistic about our areas needing growth. And let's celebrate those around us doing good work while also asking, particularly when we're feeling overwhelmed or disheartened or exhausted or inadequate, how are we caring for each other to ensure we're able to sustain this over time? Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, sad that we couldn't see Kara, but Kara had some really amazing work. So glad she was definitely one of our awardee recipients. Without these nominations and without you, we could not have an award ceremony. Thank you to all the winners for graciously accepting the awards. Thank you to all of our sponsors, because without you, the YWCA Ames at ISU would struggle to exist. Thank you to the Board of Directors for all the hard work that goes into the process that concludes with this Women of Achievement Awards ceremony. And also thank you to our President, Vanessa Castillo, and congratulate her on almost finishing her dissertation by the end of this spring. All right, last but not least, so on your table, we have a lovely handout, not only with the silent auction QR codes, again, join that silent auction, as well as our donation QR codes, but we have a post-survey QR code as well. So if you all would definitely take the opportunity to fill out that post-survey, give us some feedback, and provide us with some more information as to why you're connected to YWCA Ames at ISU, and help us to engage and recruit more folks like yourself to join this organization. Now, I want to thank you all for watching at home, and please consider nominating Women of Achievement in our community for next year's ceremony. That will also be taking place during International Women's Day week on Thursday, March 9th. You can find the submission materials on our website, and you can submit them at any time. And if you can, please also consider sponsoring the 2023 Women of Achievement, which we hope to be able to host fully in person and maskless, hopefully. But thank you very much again, and have a wonderful evening.